How are you?
Good. Can you hear me? No.
Hear you perfectly. Yep.
It looks like a minor earthquake. It's shaking, but let's see. All right. Well, welcome everyone. If anyone's new here, we'll just start with a simple description of the platform, which is non-duality, which obviously non means not, duality is two. And then closer to home, duality would be presented as dualism, which is the subject-objectness that we seem to live under, or there's a living under it. There's no one living under it. Yeah, so if anyone's new here, can you raise your hand or something? Oh, donate here is here. I've been waiting to see donate here. Nice backdrop. Yeah. Doesn't ask many questions, but yeah.
No, it doesn't. I don't see any hands or new.
All right, so no one's new. So yes, I think what you read is something we had to make up for something else, but it sort of captures it in a little way. A lot of the changes are accompanied by loss of interest, really. Yeah. So you lose interest in a lot of stuff, and you lose interest in you, in a sense, or the you. And in that, a lot of the stuff that seems so hard to accomplish and to arrive at and to acquire and to stabilize becomes a lot different. Yeah. And you sooner or later are going to figure out it's you, this you that you're not, this agitation that's causing all the blurring, it's causing all the obstruction and all like that. You lose interest in all the all the ideas of spirituality as I know it now, or as I used to know it. Spirituality was really an engine of seeking to, I would say, feel different than we were feeling, and usually was arrived at sort of like the last house on the block when drinking and other shit failed you. You finally ended up in the parking lot of spirituality. Everyone no one got there virtuously, usually. It was usually they were towed there by a unmanageable condition. So you finally park, and then it's okay. The same basis that was there with the drug addiction and with the career movement and with the relating with people and shit like that was still there. It was very rarely questioned, and there you went. You started as Paul, and you tried to get away from Paul. Yeah, and people in recovery have discovered that self can't get out of self. The sense of being the doer can't get out of the sense of being the doer, especially through doing. And with all of its machinations and movement, it always have to have a lot of rationale and excuses and blame, either on others, the teacher or you or whatever, to cover up the failedness of the system we're relying on. It's just and what can a failed system show you? It's failed, really. That's the value. The value is that it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work looking for what you are. It just doesn't work. Yeah. You can talk yourself, and you could get better as what you're not, for sure. Yeah, you can. And you may, and what you're not may present that as true evidence that things are really changing. Yeah. And yet you will hit a ceiling or a floor, floor. You'll hit something. And then that preoccupation of blaming yourself for the failure, that you just needed to do more. You should have gazed at the master while he was gazing at you. You shouldn't, my eyelids stopped, I blew the whole thing there. It seems to always have a lot to do with you. A topic that actually has nothing to do with you. It has to do with being. And the activity called Paul is the farthest thing from being. It's doing and having and losing and thinking and da 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 da. And it seems to be in a reality of things and separation and being driven by influences called time all around the game board and stuff. And the point is to see what you're not. That's the point. Yeah, it's amply evidencing itself all day. It's just maybe you need a tweak of an understanding, really, that's what non-duality is. It's an understanding that will bring into contrast the misunderstandings. Yeah, it won't get in line with the other misunderstandings. It will stand alone, and you'll see a lot of stuff. And you won't, when you're seeing a house of cards in the house of cards, there's an intention or investment to keep the house of cards going. Yeah, because you don't want to have the house of cards collapse on you. But when you see it from outside of yourself, you can tell the truth. It's a house of cards. It's manufactured and it's reinforced and it's supported. And basically, you're the greatest benefactor of it, really, knowing it or not knowing it. Our interest and attention is fueling its continually standing upright when it's a house of cards. Yeah. So once you see that, there's no putting the genie back in the bottle, really, hopefully. Yeah. And so like Ramana would call it, you're inside the mouth of the tiger. It's already too late. You can't back up. There's no reverse. The tigerness is going to suck you back in. So yeah, that for me is, and the really interesting observation over the time was truly, most of it was rooted in a loss of interest. Yeah. Didn't mean I lost interest in and of itself. I lost interest in something. Yeah. And then I realized all my other interest in other somethings was reinforcing the interest in that one something called you or me. It's you, and then it's coronated as the king of all kings, me. Yeah. And now basically the interest and attention, no matter where it goes, is used to reflect that imaginary sense of being the doer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher. So every doing is used like a mirror to imagine or imply an image. Yeah, Paul. So it's like a loop of self-importance. It just, whatever I do, it's used to imply the doer. Whatever happens is used to imply that one it happened to. Yeah. So life is going on. This whole event is going on. Yet there's an agenda going on that most of us are not aware of, a mental one, that's claiming what's happening to imply this subject. And then that subject called Paul is pictured as an object. And that's what non-duality is negating, really. Is this little mistake of, we're mistaking the subject to be an attribute of an object. The mental state is, we're not, we're just an audience. We're not really saying shit. We're just there, completely there. And there's a show going on. And part of the show is, it really kicks in when the audience participates. So when the audience steps on the stage, part of the stepping on the stage to make the movie seem as real can be, the audience has to seemingly forget it's the audience. Yeah. So now it gets caught in the movie. And of course, one of the aspects, one of the great heroic journeys in the movie is to try to escape the movie. But you can't escape the movie as part of the movie. Yeah. It's impossible. Yeah. You can't transcend an imaginary place. So you don't want to keep trying to look for the, the mystical audience of none, or the eternal silence from the movie. You much rather see the dreamt action figure from that silence. Yeah. And it's available now. The emphasis is usually looking from what you're not, and it's not emphasizing looking from what you are. But there is a strong possibility that in one level, you're always looking from what you are. Always. You're looking from what you are. Always. Not based on you as what you're not being in the right condition. You're always looking from what you are, but the emphasis is on the idea of what you're not. Yes. So when there's a loss of interest in that emphasis, there's a seeing of what you're not from what you are, just clearly. And the fact is, there's always been a seeing of what you're not from what you are. There's never not been a seeing of what you're not from what you are. Never. It's always available at all times. But see, the emphasis is more on what you're not. So even concerning your inherent nature, you want to experience it as what you're not. There's an interest in there. And that interest is actually the veil. It's actually the gateless gate with a gate and a toll and a keeper of the gate. You're it. You play all the roles. So you're not going to lose interest in self as self. If self sets out on a course to lose interest in itself, that's interest in self. You can't get out of it. Yeah. So you just tell the truth of all this stuff. And maybe you don't even tell the truth. You hear the truth and it hits. Yeah. And then there's a rearranging. The house of cards gets completely, it's seen as never standing erect. And then it appears to stand erect. But now, when you're in the house of cards, you're not that worried about the mortgage for the house of cards or the rent for the house of cards, because it's a house of cards. Yeah. So you travel later. And I mean, if this is an event of traveling, because we're going seemingly through time and space and having experiences, the event, I don't think there's a person, but there's the event, then, and it's a dualistically presented, it can be either heavy or light. I would say leaning towards the light is the nicest, softer way. Yeah. And if it could become a habit, yeah, basically whatever life had in store for you, because you're going to get hit with the good and the bad. Yes. You'll travel lighter through it all. And after a period of time of witnessing that and observing that and reflecting on that, basically, what else do you want? More do you want as an action figure? If you want complete transcendence, you're the action figure. If you want complete union without any kind of separation, hey, you're successful already. That's the state. Yeah. Now, if you want it to appear like that, that may not work out. Yeah. But in fact, it is that. Yeah. But if you, as this something you're not, wants it to appear to it as this something that it's not, that ain't it. That's just another appearance. Yeah. The fact is, we're completely successful already. If you want to be awake, you are. Yeah. How is that awakeness appearing? It could look like it's appearing to be asleep to the awakeness, or it can appear to be awake to the awakeness, but the awakeness doesn't change. Yeah? Your imaginary condition does not insert its condition into that condition. That condition is always available at all times. You are awake. Yeah. You can seem to be awake to that, or you're going to be asleep for awake. Yeah. So congratulations. If you want to think you did something, far out, think you did something. But then again, if you feel like you did something to wake up, you're definitely going to feel like you cannot do something and lose it. So that's, yeah. So what happens is, like you heard about a great party, but every time you get there, it sucks. Give it up sooner or later. You're not going to be there and have it a great party. As soon as you're the party pooper, yeah, you keep going, but it's going to fail you. That's its purpose. Yeah, everything fails us for the purpose of realizing we are already successful. We are that which we're looking for. We are. I don't think so. Well, I would question the papers of that which doesn't think so. Yeah. If you're not that, that will be disregarded sooner or later. You'll lose interest in all the requirements and everything it blows up. You'll lose interest in it. You don't have to go through it and vanquish anything or kill anything. You just lose interest in it. Yeah. And then there's a movement in this dualistic experience that you gain interest, let's say in presence. Yeah. Let's say in just onness now. Yeah. And now where you couldn't, skillful means you into a way of being immune to what's not happening. You see things as what's not happening. Yeah. And there's a loss of interest in it. Yeah. Like I spoke with someone today or at this other meeting. I used to be like that. Reliance on the intellect and wanting to have an explanation that would work for you as what you're not. I am so dumb now regarding topics of spirituality. I've forgotten what all the mudras mean. I mean, the Eightfold Noble Path, it's all, it's gone. I'm like, I don't go above my pay scale, which is great. I just don't know what the fuck's going on. And when people really, if they seem really, really up the ass of self, I just say, watch a series on Netflix, Watch Bloodline, and I'm finding a new one, Dark, I like. Yeah, just watch it. Dark may be a little too much, but go in there and you'll see, you feel a lot better when that head that wants to be so there is sent around the corner. Yeah, you will. And then you don't give a shit about awakening and enlightenment. Look what it's done to people at these talks. Has awakening really improved one's life? No, most people, it's another ruler to compare themselves with. It's just insane. And enlightenment's even worse. It's enlightenment, one of the definitions means cessation of all suffering. Yet when you hear about enlightenment from what you're not, it induces suffering. Yeah, because you feel you should be somewhere that you're not. It goes on and on and on. How much your horse can't go the distance. The whipping ain't gonna make it so. You can't whip the action figure into not being an action figure. Yeah, you just recognize it. It's like a Toyota. It doesn't have the ability to be a chariot of the gods. Yeah. That's what happened with me when there was a sufficient amount of loss of interest. Something came over the action figure that it took a while to get, which was acceptance. Yeah. The Urban Renewal Project was canceled. Just Paul has reached a pretty good level as what it's not. But that's enough. Yes. Perfection is not in the diagram. Yeah. It's just okay. If I fuck up, I make an amend. I say, I'm sorry. I don't want to do that to you or to another person. I'll give it my best shot. Yes. You know what I mean? I don't go dwell on it for fucking 8 months. Yeah. So, yeah. If this is the result of how I entertain this idea, I entertained it through satsang, basically. I didn't do any exercises and stuff. I just heard people share, and mostly in induced pauses, like long pauses. And, the emperor was frequently seen without any clothes. Yeah. And I could finally see that what I called my devices weren't mine. Yeah. And therefore, instead of trying to be free as what I'm not, I was free from what I'm not. Yeah. And that's not a heroic journey. That's just a recognition. There is no self. There is no individual entity. It's not like I vanquished the foe. The fight got called off, basically. Yeah. So, yeah, here we are on Tuesday afternoon. And if I have a commitment and I'll show up, that's what we're going to share. Yeah. How it gets digested by you is none of my business, really, literally. Yeah. And I have no dog in the hunt. I don't care if you get it or not, deeply, really. I just know, I'm compelled to do it. Sometimes begrudgingly I show up. Sometimes I'm enthusiastic, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's always the same. Non-duality. There is nothing new in non-duality in 2022. There's nothing new in it. It's just an invitation. Yeah, it's pretty steady. It doesn't go into any like hyper extreme versions. It's just non-duality. It has a direction, which is negation. It does not have an affirming direction, because you are the affirmation in and of itself. You don't need to affirm what you are. You're being what you are. That's a huge affirmation. But it's a direction of negation. We negate the activities that have been implied and used to insinuate that there's a someone. And by negating those activities and losing interest in them, because there is no someone, yes, that someone is seen through. And when it's seen through, it's always been transparent, always. There was a solidity given to it by us. It has no solidity in and of itself. It's an activity, yeah? It's rooted in interest and attention, seriously. It's almost as if a projector was run on a battery and the battery wasn't charged, the movie would be projected, but it would be weaker. The colors wouldn't be so pronounced, yes? Yeah, you'd start seeing through what you called a real situation as porous. And let's say a healthy suspicion would come over you, and maybe you would see through it now, not because of any heroic effort to focus your mind like a laser. No, more the opposite, like a relaxed awareness, yeah? Because the loss of interest of seeing through it was the obscuring of it, really. I mean, that's what was making it so hard to see through, you looking through it, yeah. Don't you see it in non-duality? If you really want to get it, you never do. Yeah, don't you see it there? What other thing is wanting to get it an impediment? Not many other things, It's called ambition and shit like that. It works for a lot of stuff that's not you. But when it comes to you, an ambition to know you doesn't work. Yeah, you'll know a you for sure, but there's no need to know what you are. You're being it. And you know what? This action figure, this event, it's not going to really change its trajectory by thinking it has it all sussed out. It doesn't. You'll never really know, because it's incomprehensible and indescribable and unknowable, yeah? Because you're it. That's the beauty of the mystery, yeah? I can't say that about a pair of pants, yeah? Though it may look like I'm it when I'm wearing them, but I can take them off. So obviously it's not me, yeah? This is different. This is completely different. And we have a lot of weird directed interest and attention that needs to be adjusted. And that which believes its interest and attention can't do the adjustment. That would be actually strengthening, let's say, the misview. Yeah. So you just admit. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel satsang has a lot of power. I do, even through the Zoom. Yeah. There's something that goes on. I've been engaged in a couple of years of Zooms with people, and I've seen their facial structure change. I don't know if they're doing like hyperventilating before the meeting or whatever, or a lot of spiritual push-ups. It looks like they just showed up and they're comfortable. Some of them are horizontal, got their pajamas on. They're not hearing it in a yogic posture. They're just chilled out. And yet they have to admit they're traveling lighter. What more do you freaking want? Really? Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. I can go on and on, but let's hear someone else. Are there any questions?
Connie, you got the mic.
Paul, it would appear, and I'm saying this so that I can hear it, or so that somebody can hear it. It would appear that that the it's like missing the big picture, because you're involved with the fear of that seems to surround the person, the drama that seems to surround the person. And when I can know that that is the unreality, and drop that, and be less fearful and be less interested in the drama, then it's like you can see the falsity of it all just by doing it.
Connie, it's a lot easier than that. Yeah, all that thing that's afraid and petrified doesn't have to change one bit. You use that to see that as not you. Yeah.
Okay.
And without this energy, it can't stop shit. Yeah. Or it can't even seemingly stop shit. Yeah. So the way you described it perfectly is that's not what's going to drop or give up or anything like that. You see it as not you. So you give that up, really. It's not that's going to give up. You give that idea up. I give the idea of being the individual, long-lasting, separate entity up. That's what happens. You're not asking it to do anything because it's incapable. All it does is refer everything back to itself. That's the programming. Yeah. Even it wants to tell me that it's disappeared. Who the hell was there to tell me that it disappeared for 3 weeks? Yes, this is the thing it does. You can't get out of it through it. So you just tell the truth about it. Yeah. Yeah. It's representing fear. It's contracted. It's in movement. Yeah. And it's flipped out and it's agitated and it's anxious. That's not you. That's not a description of you. That's a description of what you're not. Yeah. So it hasn't, it is the last requirement it will always rely on to have a separation between what you are and what you are. Truly. It will always be the last requirement. It wants to drop everything else while holding on to this old idea of being a long-lasting independent. You can save all the work of dropping everything else and drop that idea, really. Then you don't have to change a damn thing in its little machinations of what's going to open up the door or do about that. No, it's still all about you. Yeah. And you see that it's all about ain't you. And there's a strong loss of interest. And then that you believed was being held back by something which can't hold it back. It dawns on you, it's always been this way. Yes, it's never, all of that huffing and puffing never made up a house to blow down, really. Yeah, so, yeah. So don't even delay with that idea that this is going to give that up. It ain't. There is no this as fear. It's fear disguising as a this. Yeah. It's a movement called fear that disguises itself as the one who has the fear. There is no one who has the fear. There's just a fear having a one. Yeah. That doesn't have any ability to block you off other than the possibility of us giving it that ability to block us off. Yeah. Let's say that's been withdrawn. Yeah. Yeah. So what you are looking for is here now, not based on what's appearing's requirements, but the unconditional fact of awareness. Yes. Awareness does not have to get in shape to be aware. Yeah. It doesn't have to practice awareness techniques. It's aware. Yeah. That's its nature. Yeah. You don't have to give up judgments. It sees judgments. It doesn't have a judgment. It sees judgments. Yes. Yeah. So that which believes, oh, I got to stop judging. This is all bullshit because it cannot help but judge. Yeah. But that which we are doesn't judge or unjudge. It just is. Yeah. This is all the machinations. And we believe, well, it's like before the horse show has to go, we got to corral that wild bronco. And then the rodeo will be the great, no. The wild bronco is part and parcel of the whole event. Yeah. It's not you. It doesn't change the fact of awakeness. It doesn't. I don't care if you have an investment for 90 years that you've been asleep. You haven't been. Yeah. It's that entertaining you're asleep is based on an awakeness, really. Yeah. The only way you would know that you're asleep is because of awakeness. Yeah. So, yeah. This works for me. It just works. Yeah. I heard some things, and then at that point, it's like, how many avalanches do you want to trigger? Yeah. So I had enough avalanches. That was enough. I don't need to hear any more new sayings. They're nice, but I don't read much or anything. It always does the trick. When I go into the statement of Wang Po, the great Zen master, whatever can be perceived can't be perceiving. That's a pretty clear cleaning off the game board and setting the pieces. I don't need to have 30 versions of it. One works. Yeah. So whatever can be perceived means all of us right now cannot be that which is perceiving. Okay, let's move on from that fallacy. Yeah. Just let it, you don't have to do shit. It gets in, and it's not like it's going to be added to the building. It's going to erode the foundation of the building because it's made up. Yeah. That's a living message. Or, the seeker is the thought, not the seeker and the thought. The seeker is the thought. So two now becomes none. Yeah, very nicely. Yeah, instead of trying to fit two in a conceptual oneness, you go right to the primary number, which is zero. Yeah. There is no thing giving up another thing to be a non-thing. It just, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. David has his hand up, and so does Inga.
Oh, all right.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Paul, how's it going?
Going. Yeah.
Going. Just wanted to run this by you. Something I was thinking about a little bit yesterday. You mentioned Huang Po a lot, and I thought it was in his book, like the John Blofeld translation, but it may have been somewhere else where I was reading one day. This might have been a few years back, and it just stopped me when, he talks a lot about giving up conceptual thought and attachment to conceptualization and these things. And I was, at one point in time, I thought in one of his writings, he literally said, literally become like an idiot. Literally become, empty and childlike of the holding on to. And I don't mean functionally, not like you're not going to know how to move around or go to the bank or hold a job or whatever. But he definitely seems to put a lot of emphasis on this, like this holding on to the conceptual mind as our primary navigation system, being like the obscuring agent, of perceiving as they are. And I was wondering if you could talk a little more about that, because it seems like there's almost underlying it, there's like this superstitious belief that, like, well, I would become, like he said, like a vegetable, or like an idiot if you let go of it that far. There's almost this fear like that. But he really is saying that over and over again. I think at one point he says, discard all you've learned, as if it was like a bedspread you used when you were sick. I mean, he uses really colorful language.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you could share, because when you talk about the head's system and how it should not be our partner, if we look at how it operates, right, we wouldn't make it our partner in life, because it expands the horrible, it contracts the good, it, especially being an addict or whatever, you have a lot of character defects and weird conditioning. Like, the head shouldn't really be trusted much as a navigation system, and yet there's this deep-seated fear of like completely abandoning it, like we just become vegetative.
Well, yeah, because that's the head fearful of the demise of the head. It's not
Right.
you.
Right.
Yeah. If you felt like a child today, you'd be fucking happy as hell.
Yeah.
Really.
Is that
You would. I mean, look at, most people sort of envy their own pets, their dogs, because they don't seem to have any trouble, quote unquote, being in the moment. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, well, Huang Po, one of the things I really love about him is the stuff they found out about what he said was written by a scribe from the emperor's court.
Mm.
So the scribe was a guy who liked him. And so he write what he said that night. It wasn't like 800 years later.
Right.
So he scribed the talks pretty quickly, which is really, really important in a way. And he knew the situation and the circumstances, yes, where we don't, for a lot of stuff we read that's from seemingly thousands of years, we don't know, because it was probably completely appropriate to say it the way they said it in the setting they were in.
Sure.
So I think that's one of the things I love about Huang Po. And if you want to have a beautiful description of Big M mind, which is undescribable, he gets pretty close in that book. Yeah, I'll let you find it, but it's a beautiful riff on emptiness of mind. Very beautiful. So, yeah. So we're just looking at, the way we're looking at it is, you realize how full of conceptual mind, quote unquote, you are. And it doesn't produce a giant, call to arms to change that. You see, you're not that. So its failure, or its weight is used to promote light. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the negation of the one who has the concepts and shit. Yeah. Because obviously the root of all conceptions is the conception of I am Paul. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the conception when the mental state meets I am, that's its first conception. I am Paul. And then basically you move from the living and you start living out an interpretation, as Paul. Yeah. So to me, the idea of Paul is the mother and father of concepts. Yeah. Just like the thought of Paul isn't seen as a thought, it's seen as Paul. Yeah. All other thoughts can be seen as thoughts, but the thought of Paul is very difficult to see when we're looking out through the glasses of the system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Paul is protected. The thought is protected because that would terribly affect the believability of the story of Paul. Obviously, if you saw this, the star of the story was a thought, not this swashbuckling action figure, an island upon itself, but just a thought coming out of a crazy a mutation of the mental state. Yeah. You didn't have it, did you? Even in the story of David or Paul, we were young, there was no sense of other, for a while. They even have research, they do tons of it. It's like between a 12 or 18 months, then the baby grows into a sense of otherness. And then the head jumps in and just fills up that chasm with a lot of shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so when the head reads those kind of statements by a guy like Huang Po and then takes it up as a call to arms, that's sort of the double lock mechanism, right? Because you're then,
well, yeah. Why people think, in the beginning of a spiritual path that it's the path of lightness, but usually you get really heavy because of the idea of perfection enters and all this shit, and you shouldn't be having any kind of desire or whatever. And it's like it has a field day of focusing on you and just ripping your new ones that you never had when you were just the thief. Now that you're the policeman, you should be much more upright and perfect. It's terrible. That's why you want to go back to the thief. You get loaded because you can't handle that shit. Yeah. So you're not going to win by one or the other. If you see neither, if you lose interest in both aspects,
So, I mean, there's the experience of like clear seeing like that, and then whether it's a trigger event in the world or whether it's out of habit, that compulsion to just get that enmeshment, like that mixed up with identification with mind again. And then from that situation, it's trying to use that failed system to find its way out, so there's enmeshment right there.
But the point is that, let's say that momentary free sample, sooner or later, you get the sense that that's what's always available at all times. The other shit is seen as temporary and very, very volatile. So when you get a hit sometimes, it tells you it's always been this way. So basically it negates the whole story of arriving and shit like that old mantra from yoga, which is, gone, gone, gone to the other shore upon arriving on having never left. How many shores are you going to go to when that's the same result every time on having never left? You're probably not going to call the travel agent for quite a while, because you've got it. Something happened and there was convincing on having never left. So unless you enjoy traveling and arriving and but on this level, on having never left starts holding a lot of sway in this event. It frees you from a lot of this speculation and all this stuff. You lose interest in it just based on the premise on having never left. I mean, you look at most people's day, they're hoping that from the beginning of the day, it's going to change and make it a much different thing at the end of the day. That you could see that as slavery in time.
Sure.
But what happens if you have a sense of on having never left? You're not taking all these monumental, huge things that you're doing so important. It doesn't really change anything ultimately. I think that's quite liberating, really.
And so, just to beat a dead horse, when those oscillations, and they do, there's a change, there's a traveling lighter through them. When they're happening and there's that swelling, I mean, there's really having the head in the tiger's mouth, there's really nothing to do in a sense, right?
But watch Netflix or something if you get too much. Or do some service. You just want to distract it. See, when the flies have found the shit, if the shit says there's no shit, the flies aren't moving. They're very clear of this shit. So let's just tell the truth. So if you're feeling like very, very agitated and stuff, do something to change it. Help someone else. See, if you attend to someone else, or get into at least a 2-year series on Netflix with good writing, and just it'll take you out of yourself, and Yes.
I'll have to take that one up with the wife. We're on a pretty restricted TV diet.
All right.
Bill,
There's other service and stuff. But
For
you
sure.
know, taking a walk. Some people, they just gaze at a picture of Ramana Maharshi, sets them straight. Who knows?
Yeah.
You'll find what works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, my friend is very ill, and obviously the head is occupied with his physical condition. He doesn't have anything, and so son got him a TV because I was telling him, watch some fucking show, You can't be dwelling on your physical condition all day. It's not helping your physical condition. It isn't, yeah?
Sure, yeah.
So distracted. You don't have to go through deep, I must walk through this. Fuck that, just distract yourself, yeah? Yeah. Is this my opportunity finally to jump off you're gonna have tons of opportunities to jump off cliffs. Yeah, just today, maybe back off and chill out. Yes, there'll be others coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
See, people, I feel a lot of time, they've seen through a lot of shit, but they're still hooked on this idea that they need to get permission. So if I can play a role of lending you permission that you don't need, I'm all for it, because I just like to. It's so funny that which we're seeking demonstrates no thought or effort in being it. Why do we believe thought and effort is going to bring us there? I just don't see it. I don't at all. Yeah. So, yeah, you know what it's like. You were on a spiritual path. There were so many more stress factors because of your judging and critiquing the practice, wasn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that seems totally like strange, because that which is, consciousness. I don't go to like seeing classes. Yeah. I don't practice seeing every day. It's just the eyes open and just seeing. Yeah. Hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. Now my ears may be going bad, but that which is hearing isn't going bad. And I haven't ever seen it make any effort or thought to be itself. It's just there. Yeah. Yeah. Why am I thinking it's good? Because I'm thinking from a doer, a sense of doer. So of course I think doing is the way. It's sort of like what does a hammer see? It sees everything as a nail. So when you're looking from a system, everything that you're looking from the system from is reinforcing the system's relevance. Yeah. If you believe you got to do shit, do it if you believe it. See, I would be going contrary to the message because I don't believe I need to do anything. So I don't. Yeah. But if you feel like you need to do something, do it. Like right now, the cat feels I need to open the door. So I'm going to. Yeah.
Gotta do what the cat says, that's for sure.
There he goes. No, he's out. Quick, clear
We got
direction, one meow. She was looking in the direction where she wanted to be. That's it. It's not much thought or effort.
Oh, we have about 10 minutes and Inka has her hand up.
Thank you, Paul.
Oh, Inka. Nice to see you, Dave. As always.
Nice to
Thanks.
see you.
Inka.
So I have a very different question or conversation. It seemed to me earlier in the evening with you, I had a revelation or whatever you call that. I have been in total fear over the last 3 days or 4 days, whenever the Ukraine stuff happened. It was like, I mean, it's like I came with my mother milk. And then it carted back to 56 when the Russians went into Hungary, and I was very young and blah, blah, blah. But what I realized tonight is it didn't happen to me. It wasn't about me.
No.
Right?
Yes.
I just made it about me, or I just took it into, can you help me see the difference between, did I make that my cause or my how I reacted or react to it?
Well, the idea is the making it to be about you wasn't made by you.
No,
Yes.
but it happened.
It happens. And then the making it to be about you. Yeah. If it works, there's a feeling of being the you that made it to be about you. You
Right,
see it?
right. Yeah.
But now you at least have an understanding not to take that as a solid flaw, and you'll see
Right.
another stairway that goes somewhere else. Yes.
I don't really have to take on all of that.
No, you don't. You don't. And the thing is, it always has a flavor of choice or volition and stuff, which it isn't. It's mechanical.
Right.
The mental activity, when it's introduced to what's happening, it claims that what's happening to imply something. Yeah. To imply there's a you that's doing it, or there's a you that's being done to by it.
Yeah.
So basically, most people don't see that part. They think that they're the one that's making it all about me. Yeah. Which furthers certain guilt and shame.
Right.
And are wanting to escape that. And at certain points, at all costs, like in a sense, as an alcoholic, the type that I was willing to pay any consequence tomorrow not to feel uncomfortable today, because I was owning all of these mental activities as my activities completely. Yes. So when I had a thought that seemed to be weird, I was weird. Yeah. This is the bondage of self.
Oh,
Yeah. Now, most people may see the self, but they don't see the aspect of self that wants to get out of that stuff. Yeah. That's the real bondage. Twofold. Yes. It's the thief and the policeman. It's not the thief or the policeman. Yeah. So there's a seeing of that. And now you've had an inside picture with a new aperture. And so that which you used to look from, you see now. And you see the sense of it being manufactured, and there can be a loss of interest in it, and most definitely a change in the weight it throws around. Yeah. Because it's not about you. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty. Woo.
Yeah.
That's big for me.
That's great. Well, the thing is, the freedom doesn't come with focusing the aperture, it's the enlarging of the aperture.
Yeah.
So, yeah, more of what you imply, take for granted to be you is seen. Yeah. So it goes like this, Yeah. The realization isn't like this. The realization is like this. Yeah. You get seen.
Right.
Realization. The realization is you get seen, saying it had a realization.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean,
yeah. Once that cat's out of the bag, it doesn't go back in. The head will say, "Oh, it went back in," but then again, it didn't go back in because you're not the head. Yeah. Hallelujah.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is the flavor. You get a taste of it. And then you see it all over, just like when you buy a car, then you see that model where you're driving. You're driving around, you buy a Prius, you see all these Priuses. Yeah. It's just the way the head works. Yeah. So now you've had a free sample. You've seen, let's say the aperture opened up. It didn't open up, it's imagery. Yeah. So you can't be more open than empty, but let's just say, and in that you saw a lot of the stuff you look from. Yeah, you see it. So when you are seen as a manufactured you, there can be an incredible loss of interest in that, not as that. Yeah. So it's not a loss of interest in that as that. No, it's a loss of interest in that as not that. Yeah. Yeah, because the first one doesn't work. That just funnels more interest in self. Yeah. So
Right.
you see it, yeah, you see it, and there. You don't do anything. Maybe you'll be moved to do something. Maybe you won't. Most cases, my sense was I wasn't moved to do anything. Just tell the truth, yeah, of what you're not. Yeah. That's about as close as you can get to what you are, because you're completely here in what you are. So if you want to make, the only way you can recognize here is to be a little bit away and then jump into here. Well, let's say that by seeing what you're not is what you are. You're the seeing of what you're not. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, honey. Thank you. Thank you for coming around. I appreciate meeting you and coming over that one day. Yeah. Inca just came over to my house.
She just popped in, didn't she?
She said, "Fuck this Zoom. I'm driving over to see this guy."
Told her to let go.
My security was off that day, so she just walked in. I couldn't believe it. How did you get in here? And then we had a nice tea, right? I think something like that. Yeah.
Well, we're at the bottom of the hour. If you want to say your goodbye.
Yes, I'd like to say my goodbye. Temporary goodbye, but eternally felt. Yes. Yeah. So we got Connie. Connie, as always, nice. Thank you. Yeah. Everything you're doing is beautiful, Connie. You don't have to stop a damn thing. Just carry this understanding with you and just make sure the unbeknownst traveler is kicked off the ride. Yeah. You don't have to, you've been buying 2 tickets all these years. You can travel alone.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. So we got Eric. Nice to meet Eric. How are you? Yes. Nice to meet you. Oh, there's one of my favorites, Sky. How are you, Sky? All's well? Great. And we got Eileen. I saw Eileen. She came to one of our talks. Not that this isn't one of our talks, but through the Zen Bitch Slap. Yeah. Nice to see you, Eileen.
Yeah, you too.
All right. And we got Inca. Yes, Inca and Rhoda. Rhoda is, where's Sina today?
Sina's on vacation.
Oh.
I
David
know.
B.
I'll tell her you miss her.
Oh, yeah. She, her absence is a big presence, really. We got David B. Thank you, David. George. Always nice to see George. He's a man of few words. It's nice. We got Angie. Angie, thanks a lot for dropping in. Yes, yes. We'll meet someday, Angie. We'll be running into each other, probably. Yes, yeah. Jacqueline, as always, she's somewhere else other than the wood cabin today. Yeah. Oh, up there. Yeah. Very nice. We got Don. Oh.
Just in the kitchen, not in the study. That's all.
All right. All right. We got Don O. Nice to see you, Don. Yeah. Remember what we shared the other day. Just keep an eye on it and yeah, see what happens. I'm sure you're traveling lighter, actually. Usually we're the last ones to know because the head won't give it in. It'll just keep yapping, but yeah. All right, we've got who else here? We've got, what is this? Shama, Andy W, Susan K, Katie, Ann B, there she is. I don't know who that is. We got PK, oh, PK from Long Island City. We got donate again here, donate here, yeah. That's it. Thank you so much, everyone. We have a lot of stuff going on in the next few weeks and next few months. If you're interested, zenbitchslap.com under the event page. Yeah. I'm playing around with a 2-day Zoom thing for March 19th, 20th. I think I'm gonna let it go because I have absolutely no interest in it whatsoever. So I think I'm just gonna let it go. I mean, let it happen. So it's on the website. So thank you.
I put your donate button
Bye.
in the chat for anyone who's interested and wants to support these talks to let them continue. We encourage you to go and donate on Paul's website at zenbitchslap.com/donate.
Thank you, Rhoda. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for
The
coming.
talks will keep coming, donating or no.
Donating or not, but thank you for coming.
All right, see you.